Hey everyone, it's Anthony from Pretty Printer here. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use HTTP Basic Authentication in your application. So this prompt that you see right here is a prompt for the HTTP Basic Authentication. And as you'll see, it's pretty easy to enable in your app. Before I get started, I just wanted to mention that I have courses up on my website, prettyprinted.com. So if you haven't checked out prettyprinted.com, check it out after you finish watching this video. I'll have a link to the website at the end of the video if you want to check it out. So to get started, I have the basics of a Flask app set up here. And to add authentication to the application, it's actually pretty simple. So basically the authentication information, so the username and password, they come in through the request object. So in the same way you would get JSON data from the request object or URL query parameters, you can also get the authentication data from the request object. So what I mean by this is once you have requests imported, you can simply type request.authorization.username, and that will give you the username. And then request.authorization.password will give you the password. So as you see, there are two fields here, username and password. So that's what I mean there. So to use this in the route, it's actually fairly straightforward. I'm going to have a really simple passwords. So first, let's say if request authorization actually exists, then I want to check if the username exists. And let's say the username is just simply username. And also request authorization dot password equals password. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying that if the authorization exists inside of the request and the username is username and the password is password, then I'll be able to do something. And in this case, I'll say something like, you are logged in. And if the authorization information isn't correct, then what I want to do is I want to return a message telling the user that they have to log in, and I want to tell the browser that they have to log in using HTTP Basic Authentication. So to do that, I'll have to import something else, make response, because I'm going to be returning a customer response in the case that they don't log in. So instead of returning, this is the index here, what I'll return is a new response. So I have to actually make this response. And this response will take three values. It's basically a tuple that you're supposed to pass in. The three values are the message for when they don't log in, a status code, which is optional, so it could be two arguments, and then the headers that are sent over. And the headers in this case will be used to tell the browser that this route requires HTTP Basic Authentication. So the message will be something like could not verify. The status code will be 401 for login required. And then the headers in this case, what I need to pass is www-authenticate. And what I'm passing in that header is basic realm. So REALM. And then login required. So what this will do is it will actually generate that pop-up saying, do you want to log in? So to demonstrate, I'll save this. And this is a different app, so I'll run this one. So this is the prompt that I see for the app that I just created. So if I hit cancel, I see could not verify. If I hit this again and I type username and then password for the password and hit OK, then it logs me in, and my browser realizes that the login was successful, so it prompts me to save this login, and I'm not going to do it. But I see that I'm logged in here. And this persists until the session is over for the browser. So what I'll do is I'll change the username just to show you, because once you log in, the browser will automatically send that login information with each request. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to log in on every page. It will automatically send it. So I have to change the username to have the pop-up appear again. So if I type in the old username and password, it pops up the box again because it's no longer correct. So if I put username 1, it is now correct, and then it tells me that I'm logged in. So that's pretty simple. And if I create another route, let's say page, and I say you are on the page, you'll notice that for this one I don't have to log in. So if I go to page, and if I switch the login information back to the original username and password, I still don't have to log in. I only have to log in once I go to the index, because this index is requiring a login, which is what this here is signaling to your browser. So that's great, but if you want to require multiple pages to be login enabled through HTTP Basic Authentication, then this would be quite tedious to write in every single route. So what I'll do now is I'll create a decorator to handle this for us, and then each time you want to have a route protected by this, you will simply add the decorator here. So something like, I'll call it auth required, something like that. So I'll create the decorator. So to do that, I'll have to import from FuncTools. And if you're not familiar with how to create decorators, I have a video on how decorators work in Python. So I'll link to that in the description below. But I won't explain too much on how decorators work in this video. Basically, it's just create another add function here that will apply to each route that I tag it on. So first, I need to create the name of the decorator. And in this case, I want auth required. And it takes in a function, which will be the function that I'm decorating. In this case, like index or page. And then I need to use wraps, which is from FuncTools. And it also uses the same function. And then I can create a decorated function inside that will take any arguments that are passed in to the function that's being decorated. And then what I want to do is basically inside the decorated function, check and see if the authorization is correct. So first I'll make it shorter because request.authorization is long. So auth is going to be equal to request.authorization. Then once I have that, I can check if everything is okay. So I'll say if auth, so basically like authorization information is inside of the request. And then if that's true, then check the username. So username, I'll set to be username again. Of course, this can be from a database if you choose to do so, but in this case, I'm just hard coding the values. And then auth.password is equal to password. So if all that's true, what I want to do is return the decorated function, meaning the login was successful and they can continue on. And if it wasn't successful, then what I'll do is I'll return this make response. So make response could not verify your login. I'll pass back the status code, which like I said, isn't necessary, but it helps just to keep things consistent. And then you need to pass back the correct headers. So www-authenticate and then basic realm login required. And of course, the login required is just a message. It can be something else. The basic realm is the most important, but I'll just leave it as login required. So with that, I can then return the decorated function down here. And that's pretty much it for my decorator. So I can go to page, and let's take a look at page again. So if I go to /page, I see that I'm on the page. But if I add, first let me change the username so it's clear. But if I add the decorator auth required, which is what I just created here, then when I go to the page, the authentication required box pops up. So if I add username 1 and password, then it tells me I'm on the page. And of course, I can do this for any other route that I create. So I'll create one more route. Other page, auth required, other page, and then I'll say you are on the other page. And then what happens is, let's take a look. I see it logs me into the other page automatically because like I said, once you log into one route, it will apply that login to all of them. So you don't have to type in the form each time. So I'll change this to username 1 so it changes again. Other page, username, password, and then I can go to page, I'm logged in there, and then the index, I'm still logged in there. So as you can see, using basic authentication is pretty simple and is one of the more straightforward methods of authenticating your application because it's built into the browser. So if you don't want any complicated login system for your app, then HTTP Basic Authentication will work well for you. So that's it for this video. I'll put the code up on my website so you can get this code. There's going to be a link to it in the description below. Like I said, I'll link to how decorators work in Python, and I'll link to prettypeanut.com in case you want to check out any of the courses that I have there. So that's it for this video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions about this video, just leave a comment down below and I'll answer it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please subscribe. So thank you for watching this video, and I will talk to you next time.